shows, doing collaborations with lots of international galleries. And 2013, we decided to branch out to London. So this is almost our 9th year here, actively representing Turkish artists, building a bridge between Turkish artists and London-based artists, and further promoting globally. And today is the opening of Vuslat's very first exhibition, Silence. It has been a journey. It has been 2 years in the making, in the getting to know each other, getting to know the gallery, and with Chus's help, support, we're very happy to be here. I hope you enjoy the conversation. I hope you'll come back. It's going to run until the 11th of June, and I'm going to be here every day. Welcome all. Thank you.
So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Jeshim, for hosting us in your house and in your arms, because it's kind of a miracle to be able to, to exhibit the work. And my name is Chus Martinez. I'm a curator. I'm from Spain. And that explains the fact that I'm not religious, but I do believe in miracles, because miracles are actually transformative encounters that normal logical thinking cannot foresee. So in the middle of the pandemic, I received an incredible email of somebody saying that wanted to meet me, or perhaps talk to me, but if possible in person, about the possibility of doing something together in relationship with a foundation that's dedicated to generous listening. And then I said, wow, this is amazing, because this is one of the things that I've been really thinking about, like attention, receivership, how can we actually not only touch each other physically, but touch with the eyes, touch with the ears, as you are doing right now when you are actually seeing the work of Vuslat. So I end up in Istanbul, one of the few countries without quarantine and no restrictions during COVID, living in Switzerland, and then all of a sudden, talking about generous listening, this beautiful lady next to me, this artist, said, you know what? I've been doing art, and I don't know, I feel like not showing it to you, but she has been saying that for a long time, actually more than 2 years now. And then, but it would be good if you come downstairs to my studio and I show you the work. And it was amazing, because then, you switch from talking from the foundation and from the point of view of doing something that goes beyond the personal into something that is entirely the personal, that it has to do with intimacy, with a practice that somehow means a lot for a person. So I went downstairs and I saw the work, and then we immediately start talking about formal things. What is the work about? What are the materials you are using? Where do you want to exhibit this work? And then all of a sudden I discover that actually she never exhibited the work. That is actually the first time that she was kind of revealing the work to somebody. And that's how it all started. So all of it to tell you that you are in front of the most marvelous moment, because an exhibition is a marvelous encounter, a transformative encounter in between you as viewers and, of course, the artist. But on top of this, which is a general act, and it's true of every exhibition, you are today witnessing the first exhibition, the moment when somebody that has been for a long time an artist in private decides that this private moment opens up and becomes collective and becomes public. So I think that only for that is really, really a miracle. So, first question to you. What made you actually decide to exhibit the work and bring it to a new level, to a public level?
For many years I have been in my studio, creating, producing, and then keeping the pieces with me. Then I think it's over the pandemic when I started being stuck with the pieces all the time, because we were literally not able to move around, and I was in my studio all the time. The pieces talked to me, I started talking to the pieces in a different way, and something pushed me. And I think maybe it's also, I hadn't really met someone that I thought would give me an honest, direct, sincere feedback. And our conversation with you, I don't think that I had that moment of asking, triggered it with me, and I wanted to show it to you.
And how many years you have been working in this type of forms?
These type of forms started, I think, easily 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago.
And how did these forms appear to you? How do they came to you that you felt, I need to express these forms in a material?
These forms, I started with human forms. I was interested in the human body, the femininity and the masculinity, the interaction of all. But then I started becoming more interested in integrating nature in my forms, because those times I was working on asking the questions of where the border of us stop and the freedom of I start. How do we individualize in a society which is super closely knit society like Turkey? All those took me to a journey of integrating nature.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started with these forms, it was more of
Intuition.
Intuition, yes. And it became very abstracted and organic. Maybe started from the form of ear, actually. And then moved into more and more abstract and more organic forms.
And that's also very interesting, and I think that, you know, now we are here, we are at the gallery, we hear an artist talking about organic forms, talking about nature, talking about the ear, and then we all agree that this is it, and it's so timely. But if we were 20 years ago, this work would not be possible. So it's very interesting how society evolves in certain directions, and things that you see now were absolutely not possible 20 years ago. And there is many reasons for it. And one of the good reasons that allow this type of work is decolonization and the fact that we are moving away for certain canonic readings of contemporary art that have been very dominated by, for example, American conceptualism. So expressivity, expression, and even the touch, or even talking about the possibility of nature being in the gallery is now what we all want. And 20 years ago, it would be considered simply kitsch, because you needed to be conceptual. It means that it needed to be only linguistic. It should be pure form, without going out of the form. And I think that is really magic when actually a work takes place because of a time is taking place. And perhaps you can talk about exactly that you have been in your practice, working as an editor, working in media, seeing the time, perceiving it, living it, experiencing it, and all of a sudden something in you make you feel that it was absolutely possible now to do this type of forms, that the society, in an unconscious way, in your manner, you felt that it was ready to get these forms out in the world.
My journey with the media career, I would say, was about being out there, expressing, and really keeping it very personal to myself, my art world. And I think it's the dual, maybe the parallel worlds that I was living, being out there as a personality, maybe a public personality, but as a personality of certain boxes, but then having the super free environment to be able to create those allowed me, and not sharing it with anyone, allowed me to be able to go into these free forms. I think not being able to share, not have to share, gave me this freedom to go in these free forms. But I do agree with you that two things, the world got ready for it, but also me exiting from media gave me this freedom to share as well. I think I had it in two things. It coincides very well, my personal evolution in life and the world's evolution to accept and embrace this.
And I also want to share with you something which is really beautiful that happens many times, but many don't ever know about, which is called the accident. So to produce new artworks always involve big catastrophes. And I think that it's beautiful to know about them because, you know, these pieces, when you see them, our body already relates to them in such a natural manner that we stop asking ourselves how does the balance of super heavy metal and stone elements actually compose a balance. And they almost seem light to you, but they are really heavy, they are very difficult to install, and they are very ambitious. So Vuslat is not only exhibiting for the first time, but it's exhibiting in a scale and using materials which are very, very demanding. And I would like her to explain a little bit what happened, what you discover in the making of them, how much you suffer, how many things we experience because they slip and they fell and they break and they stand up again. And I think that is really, really also fantastic, this journey through the making where you discover how a material reacts, because when you see a material, you don't know how it lives till you actually live with it. And it's true to stone, it's true to metal, it's true to liquids, it's true to wood, it's true to glass, and this is true with everything that has a life in itself. And I also invite to all of you to put your hands in the pieces, because if there is something magical about stone and metal, is that they receive our body temperature and they give it back. So Vuslat, what happened? Tell them.
Before I go to what happened, I want to say, yes, you can touch, but please very gently.
Gentle.
Because I still have a trauma in my body of what happened.
She has mother anxiety.
I do have an anxiety. It was this exhibition, as you all might know, was going to be a month earlier. And it's middle June, I'm in Carrara working to put everything together. The marbles and the plinths and then put them on the truck to be shipped to London. And I was there for only a few days. I thought our work would be only a few days. Everything was done. But I was wrong. I was wrong and I did not know anything much about it. It was a piece that you will see in the next room, which is one piece is bronze, the other one is marble. And we put the piece on the, both pieces on the plinth. It was getting dark, 6 p.m. We had to leave, but we couldn't finish the work. We said, okay, let's just call off for the day. And tomorrow morning, let's meet here early, 8 a.m. to finish it. We arrived there, 3 workers and myself. And these pieces are very heavy. The one in the window is 1,000 kilos. And that is very big, 350 kilos. We gathered around the piece, the sculpture, talking, discussing, and rescheduling the date. And there is a distance between, like 1 meter between Chus and me. That whole big bronze piece just abruptly fell on the floor. It was a moment of shock for all of us. We could have been smashed. I could have been smashed on the piece that I've created. Or if it fell on the other side, a worker could have done it. You know, it could be, God forbid, the moment of shock to all of us. If it happened in the night when we weren't there, we wouldn't have that shock. But the shock of living.
Because they wait.
Because, yes, they waited for us. It changed the whole exhibition. You can still see the scar, little scar on the bronze, because I kept the scar. It is the story. But a friend told me, Vuslat, what does this piece mean for you? And it wasn't, and I got it immediately. It wasn't the name I had given to the piece. It was another thing that occurred to me. It meant power and grace. And I had been working on the notional power all the years that I was working with these forms. How do we keep power in a graceful way? What is power? Is it in or out, or is it what we possess? It was all these questions that I was being caught up when I was imagining the forms and how could the forms exhibit in a powerful, graceful way. But then I forgot about it. I called it something else. And it was time for the exhibition. I had other excitements. But that abrupt falling down reminded me
That it was it.
that it was it. Go back to 10 years. And it's a work of 10 years you've been doing. And the reason that pieces are bronze and marble in their conversation with the two material, but also their verticality, but the poetic language was trying to express this.
And accidents break things, not lives, hopefully, not like this time. But what happened is that it opened up another possibility of thinking about the work. And then thanks to that falling of the piece, I could continue nagging on the drawings. Can you please show me the drawings? Vuslat, no, I can. The drawings are not important. I really don't want to put the drawings in. No, I don't have them ready. And then after, pressuring a little bit more, one day I said, well, it's true, the marbles are amazing, the pieces of sculpture are amazing, but it's very important to understand the hand from two perspectives, because the marbles are partly done by hand, but not entirely done by hand. So we need that part that is the hand being present. We need the hand being there in the exhibition in its entirety, because the hand is always there, but then the hand differs, or you just, give the task to a machine to finish or start the first cut in the sculpture. So it's very important that you have a touch of these hands working, and drawings have done it for centuries. That's exactly the media where you can follow the mind and how the mind understands the hand. So finally, she showed me the drawings. And I would like you to talk about them. Why would you hide the drawings so long?
Why it took me 15 years to show the sculptures? The drawings came later in the process. When I first started sculpture, my then the teacher said, Vuslat, we're sculptors and we think three-dimensional. So don't bother about going two-dimensional. And we take a clay and then we just visualize three-dimensional. And that's how I started. But during the process, something was nagging me. I needed to have another form of exploring the forms. And I had a teacher who said, no drawing. So what do? I don't go to another teacher.
You cheat.
I cheated. Once I cheated, betrayal didn't work for me. I got a bad blessing from her. So I said, Vuslat, you start exploring it yourself. Maybe it's just a stupid perfectionism, but I needed to get someone's. It's again like the
long process.
Little things in my atelier. Those drawings I had to apply.
But I also ask you to pay attention to these drawings, because in the drawings you understand the beautifulness of certain textures that happen first in the mind, then in the hand, then in the drawing, then in the sculpture. And all these translation acts that actually are abstract at the beginning, then start to be very emotional, and then they get materic. And then in matter, they may or may not be that expressive or emotional. And yet, it's all these relationships that are conveyed and create a dynamic. And a dynamic is really important, because if there is something that defines the pieces of the sculptures of Vuslat, is called rhythm. And now you are asking yourself, and you said it at the beginning, nature, we're talking about gender, but the ways that we learn to talk about gender in the last, let's say, 40 years are the ways that actually recuperate, and that's very important for you and for us. They are recuperating non-Western traditions, non-binary, non-Western traditions, coming from very ancient cultures where non-binarism, it's a given. And binarism has been invented by the colonizers. It's a question of the empire. If you possess, then it's mine. But there is always a divide, because you are the other. And when you break these dynamics and you go into a non-binary, into the possibility of white and black being together, metal and stone being together, two genders being one, all the stars being one cosmos, when you start unifying this in a philosophical and an aesthetical way, something appears.
Today for me it's a must-have to travel between two-dimensional and three-dimensional. I cannot think of not drawing. It deepens it, and it gives very different perceptions to go between the two dimensions.
And one kind of wrapping up question would be, you know, what is also very interesting is when we talk to artists, we want all to know from where do they get the inspiration, or what are the things that you have the impression you learned the most during these years of making art. And even in the process of producing the exhibition, where have been your holders? What have been you reading, or people, or stories that came to your mind, or other artists that you think are very important for your practice?
Spirituality has been a huge opening for me, and all spiritual teachers, starting from Rumi, are huge inspirations of opening the heart for me. Eastern and the combination of Eastern and Western philosophies, to mix them together has always been interesting for me. Nature, I think, overall has been my biggest inspiration and learning. But when we talk about marble, I go to Turkish hammams. And the feeling of the marble in the hammam, the familiarity, the running water, the conversations we have here, that really puts me in touch with the marble. It gives me that safety and that beautiful place.
And because it's hot and some of us are standing, last question, Vuslat, what's next?
I don't know.
What?
This is the beauty, and I don't have to know.
Oh, but I got an idea. I got an idea. I was in the middle of the night, and this time I wake up, because normally she wakes up totally like worrying about things of her exhibition, but this night I wake up and I got the answer of what's next. Glass.
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 Don't put these things into my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Glass.
I don't know.
So people expect the worst. It's coming.
What's next? I hope next is the conversations we open up. I hope next is what I hear from you guys thinking about these. This is what's next.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And before we all go, I just want to say thank you to those that helped to produce the exhibition. Again, thank you very much to Jeshim and her team. Thank you very much to Vuslat and her team, to Merve, Artistic Director of the Vuslat Foundation, and the whole team of the Vuslat Foundation. Thank you very much to David and Charlie, who were the producers of the pieces and this exhibition. And thank you very much for you, and thank you especially very much to the family of Vuslat, because behind every great personality, there is always friends and family helping, supporting, and loving. So for those, a really, really deep thank you. Very well done.
And thank you, Chus. Thank you, Yeşim. Thank you, Rabi Bey, Sema Hanım, my father, my mother, everyone.